Welcome to the Strategic Management Accounting course, where we teach the value-adding steps and processes necessary to execute strategy. Whether you are just starting up or looking to grow your business, then this course is for you. With your host, Dr. Neil O'Connor.
The structure of tonight's talk is a brief background of what I'm doing, my work in China. And then on your card, I'd like you to write down questions that you'd like to have personally answered tonight. Okay? So we don't have to identify yourself, but it might be helpful if I know a particular industry. That would be very helpful. I'd also like you to write down a large challenge that you're currently facing in your firm. Okay? Just a challenge that you have, a problem that you have. So just to give you some flavour for the challenge, here's what I'm doing in China. I'm actually interviewing 1,000 Chinese suppliers. I'm up to 927. I started 18 months ago. Face-to-face interviews. 927, not 90, not 200, over 900 now. We're doing 1,000. And so far, here's a representation of a question we asked Chinese suppliers at the end of each interview. What is your number one challenge? And it's very interesting that most of these Chinese suppliers we interview, they're in the electronics industry, they're second tier, third tier suppliers. Most of them I interview say their number one challenge is cost control. How many of you are not surprised with that response? Put your hand up if you're not surprised. Okay, I agree with you. But isn't it surprising it's only 1/4? It's less than 30%. What about the other 70%? The other 70%, competition, sales growth. But what is also interesting is a very few percentage talk about the long-term problems that they have. Paradigm shift, brand building, R&D, brand name recognition, okay, sustainability, things that will help the organisation survive in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. Most of the challenges and problems, when you ask them what is their number one challenge, is cost control, sales growth, competition. Okay, and so don't listen to me. Here's the data on 644 interviews. Okay, and if you want updates on this as we go, most welcome to contact me for that. But very, very interesting. Tonight's talk is about that. Cost control, sales growth, concerns about accounting, economic performance are financial measures. Tonight is about non-financial performance measures. Your financial measures, all of you, put your hand up if you're an accountant. Great, I'm glad. What a stupid question. Okay, all right. You're an accountant, I'm an accountant. So we focus on the economic measurement of a company, the measurement of an economic health of a company. Accounting looks forward or backwards? It looks backwards, exactly. It's too late. Accounting is an economic representation of the status of the company, the balance sheet, or the performance of the company for the last accounting period, profit and loss, or cash flows. Okay, it doesn't tell you about the future. And some of what we're going to talk about tonight is to dig deeper or move further up the process chain, because the accounting is measuring the output. The accounting is measuring transactions, sales. It's measuring transactions, expenses. But let's move before that in the process chain and try to get some visibility of the processes that lead to lower costs, the processes that lead to higher sales. And if we can have more visibility on those processes through non-financial performance measures, which is what we're going to go about tonight, then maybe we have more control over our accounting numbers at the end of the accounting period. So that's the dream That's the vision of non-financial performance measures. We're trying to capture all these things that very few Chinese suppliers want to do or see as the #1 challenge. Paradigm shift, brand building, a happy workforce, a productive workforce, technology, innovation. Okay, if we can capture them in non-financial performance measures, then what can happen? Maybe we can maybe we can oh, I suspect there was no power. Oh. We're going to have to stop for a moment. The power went off. There's no power. Excuse me, I'll just go and get some. Maybe we didn't pay the power bill, but that's okay. So you've got your card. Could you write on your card, #1, a question you'd like to have answered tonight? And in the spirit of the question I ask all these Chinese suppliers, what is your #1 challenge? What is your #1 problem? You can frame a challenge as a problem. So what is your #1 problem? Could you write that on the card? Yes. Would you like a card? We have lots of cards here, all right? Because we want to solve some problems tonight, or give you more confidence to face the problems directly. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So, 2 things on the card now. What is a big question you'd like to have answered tonight? #2, what is your big challenge? What is your problem, or your problem that your firm is facing? Okay, so can we, and while we're setting up the computer, can I just have a quick show of hands of different industries represented here? So I guess I represent education industry, I guess, so I'll start. So can we start from industry?
Online service.
Online services? Wow. Bank.
Consumer electronics.
Consumer electronics. Wow, very interesting, huh? Very interesting. Look, you might be interested in this. It's a copy of an iPhone. Seriously, it's a copy, a very cheap one, okay. All right, don't worry, I'm not an agent for them, okay, just sell. All right, industry? Manufacturing, what?
High-end spare parts.
Okay.
Manufacturing and selling of the airport ground equipment.
Okay.
Besides being lazy.
Oh, I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you're not. Yeah. Welcome anyway. Welcome, please.
Financially, insurance.
Financial. Banking, yes.
Utilities.
Utilities.
Landscaping.
Landscaping. Landscaping.
Greening.
Oh, very interesting. Top of buildings, huh?
No. Environmental greening, urban planning.
Well, very interesting. You'll be very interested in this then. Is responsible leadership and corporate social responsibility, metrics for sustainable performance. By the way, everyone can get a copy of this. I'll pass that out in a minute. Okay, and that actually lists all the metrics that some of the top companies around the world are using to actually help measure the three aspects of environmental, corporate, social responsibility. Industry?
Practicing accounting.
Yes.
Manufacturing?
Manufacturing?
IT.
IT, fantastic. So we've got lots of range, we've got some manufacturing, we've got services, we've got everything. And so we have the lot, and our computer is back with us. This is so fantastic. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to reiterate the theme for tonight. If we can make more visible the process leading up to this economic reality, that is, what were the costs, what were the transactions, what were the sales that made your profit and loss and balance sheet. If we can make more visible the process, then we can have more control. The idea of non-financial performance measures is to get more visibility over things we're likely to have more control over. Because at the end of the period, you don't have any control over sales. Well, companies think they do, you know, channel stuffing and earnings management, things like that. But that's not changing the amount of sales transactions. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's not changing anything else. So let's keep moving as we go. I thought I pressed the wrong button here. So, oh, it's working. That's great. This is fantastic. So we started with my interview of we're up to 900 suppliers, well as the #1 challenge. Half of them are talking about accounting challenges. These are made very visible by accounting, right? But the other half, or even 1/4, are talking about things that are more long-term, which companies need to focus on, have more visibility on. So now, you have the card, you write down questions that you'd like to be answered tonight. Number 2, write down a large challenge that you're currently facing in your unit or firm and what industry you represent, just generally. Please don't put your name on the card, it's okay, all right? As you're writing that, I'll tell you stories as we go through tonight. And so the simple stories like a company decides our back office processing of checks is too expensive. So what are we going to do? Oh, let's outsource it to Shenzhen. Labour is cheaper. So they moved the back office to Shenzhen. Then they found, oh yes, the labour is much cheaper across the border. Wow, but now check processing takes 3 days longer. There's 15% more errors. And so the process is not the same. So the decisions that are being made that say, oh, let's move our process from an expensive country to an inexpensive country and we're going to save money. But that's not always the case. And so we've got many, many stories like that. I'm sure many of you are aware of them. I'm happy for you to share tonight. But this is what the essence of tonight is about. You see, what do we have to do today to get more of what we want tomorrow? So in the future, maybe on your card, as part of your challenge, how many of you think empowerment, learning, or a fun place to work, or word of mouth marketing, or these outputs as being your challenge? How many of you want less turnover in your workplace? Hands up. Maybe it doesn't matter now with the economy slowing down a little bit. But 12 months ago it was a big problem. Or it depends on which industry. Okay, especially if you're a S&P 500 company and you're in China and you want to grow your workforce from 3,000 people to 5,000 people in the next 5 years, most of those recruits are going to be engineers and they're going to be the new generation. Very major challenge indeed, okay? And I know that because I actually consulted on a project for a company that worked and we did an EVP analysis for that company. EVP, employee value proposition, how do you get employees to actually fit in with the company? How do you change the company culture so employees will stay for non-financial reasons, not just financial? Because you can never keep people on financial reasons alone. Okay, so hands up if you are looking for more empowerment in your organisation, or you'd hope that your employees felt more empowered. Anyone looking for that? What about employee turnover? Is that a challenge? Anyone? Okay. On-time delivery, is that a challenge? What about less errors? Is that a challenge in your organisation? Okay. What about checks process, customer returns? What about customer satisfaction? Okay. Some point in time in the cycle of the economy, these challenges visit most firms. Okay. And sometimes those challenges don't become large when the economy has slowed down and the employer has much more power of keeping employees. Okay? But when things are growing and suddenly your employee workforce is at top of capacity and you're trying to recruit, then these challenges become more visible. Okay, that's some HR examples. But the point of tonight is to think about, is there some way we can understand the systems or how we create alignment with strategy? There's also decision-making and problem-solving issues. See, in your organisation, there are two levels I want to make you aware of tonight. There is the operation level that we try to make more efficient, but there's a level under that, which is more the learning and growth, the culture, the systems, which we want to make more effective. So before we talk about non-financial performance measures, I want you to think, number one, what is the strategy of your company? Because alignment with strategy is very important. Which processes in the organisation do you want to make more efficient? And finally, how can we make the culture, the employee base, the system support more effective? And some of you, how many of you heard of the balanced scorecard approach? Where you've got the learning and growth, the process, customer and financial. I'll introduce that to you briefly tonight. But here are the takeaways for tonight's session, if I haven't already said so far. We are review how important it is to be aware of the different communications that are going on in the organisation. I'm going to introduce you to the strategic alignment framework, systems thinking and measurement. And most courses on non-financial performance measures leave out this systems thinking. They focus a lot on measurement. Sometimes they do strategy. If you're doing human resource, strategic, talent management type initiatives, and you have consultants come in, then they may talk more about this strategic alignment associated with measurement. But systems thinking is a big thing tonight. So tonight, I want you to take away, what can we call this? A Ferris wheel? Maybe we can call this a chessboard, a shower, and a ruler. So let me tell you what we mean by this Ferris wheel. I'm going to ask each one of you now to participate, and that is, can you tell me, out of financial, customer, internal process, learning and growth, which of these areas dominate the communications that go on in your organisation? Which of these areas dominate? Let's say, for example, if we want to have balance across all these four areas, financial, customer, internal process, learning and growth, ideally we want 25% of each, right? Okay, so how many of you would say communication is more than 25% in terms of financial? Then you would say high. Okay, so would you like to tick that now? Medium means about 25%, low means less than 25%. So if you have perfect balance in your organisation, then you're going to have medium, medium, medium. Hands up who put high for financial. Surprise, surprise. Okay, lots of communications about financial. Cost cutting, sales targets, right? Okay. How many of you put high for customer? Okay, customer complaints. Yeah, delivery on time. Customer demands, customer returns. All right. Okay. How many of you put high for internal processes? Oh, okay, we've got one. That's good. And what about learning and growth? That is lots of communication about developing the staff, getting the aligned culture, lots of training. Yes?
Yeah, I could have.
That's great. We all want to work at your organisation. Because, let me ask you another question. Here are 4 areas. Which 2 areas do you have most control over? Let me repeat. Which 2 areas do you have most control over? Hands up for financial. Hands up for customer. Hands up for internal process. Hands up for learning and growth. Okay, let's think. How do you have control over financial? How do you have control? I agree. Most of your attention is in financial and the customer. I agree. Most of your communicative attention in your organisation is about financial and customer. But an increasing amount of control is in the area of learning, growth and business processes. You have more control over the processes. You don't have control over the customer. You can't tell the customer when to come back. You can't ask the customer to buy from you. Well, you can market to the customer. You can brainwash the customer. But you need a good product. Okay? So do you have control over that product, good product you're making, or whether the customer buys it? Which comes first? The product, service, or the customer? Which one? The service, the product, which is the processes in your organisation, your internal processes. So you have control over that. You have control over that. You can close the doors tomorrow and the customer may still want to buy from you. Okay? You can open the doors and customers may not come. You don't have control, you don't have direct control over customers. And because accounting is an economic representation, it's a representation of the economic reality of your organisation, you don't have control over the accounting number directly. You don't have direct control over accounting. You have control over the sales process that results in a sales transaction that is booked as sales. Or you have control over employees that decide, do I choose the expensive travel option or the cheap one for my company? Okay. And then that expense goes into the accounting, right? So but you have control over the mindset of the employees that make that decision. Either through SOP, thou shalt choose the cheapest travel option when you're traveling to Shanghai. Okay, right? You have control over that because you can put in standard operating procedures that say, here's the procedure. If you violate this procedure, you won't get reimbursement. You see, so you have control. But you don't have control over the expenses that end up in the accounts at the end of the period. Okay, once they're in the accounts, they're there. You can't change them. Okay? So you better think about when those expenses are incurred, when the sales occur, how the sales occur, and tonight is about thinking about non-financial performance measures that make visible those processes. Okay, I'll give you a brief example. I want to give you a few stories tonight. Then I'm going to collect your cards and we're going to start answering some of your questions. Here's a real example. CTI Limited, they make the telephones, the old telephones that you saw in China, you know, the yellow or red phones that you see at the corner in the street years ago. Most people have mobile phones now, you don't see as many now. But you do see these public phones in the transport interchanges where you have to put cards in or money in. So this company made those phones. They also made phones export to Africa and India. Anyway, they had a problem because every 6 or 12 months they were coming up with a new product. And they were selling to China Unicom, China Mobile. Through their 200 agents around China, they had up to 26 branch offices at their full capacity back in 2002, 2003. And their big challenge was getting their salesmen in different provinces to think creatively, to think ahead. When a new product come along, they want their sales managers to learn what that new product was about, how to sell it, how to get the customers to buy a new product rather than the old product again. Like if you're a sales manager, which product would you sell? Which would be easier to sell, the old one or the new product? We're talking about telephones. We're not talking about mobile phones. We're just talking about basic telephone that get screwed onto a wall. People put their money in or a card to you make a phone call. Okay? Not rocket science. Okay? So sales managers would sell the old product. It's very hard to get them to sell the new product. Customers don't want to buy the new product. They have to pay 20, 25% more for the new product. Just give me the old product. Okay? How do you convince them to sell the new product? Number two, how do you convince these sales managers to communicate more with the head office? Especially when they're 2,300 kilometres away, which is a distance between Urumqi and Wuhan, right? Okay? Long way away. Okay? How do you get sales managers to behave on your behalf so far away? So this company faced those problems. And ultimately, back in around the 2000, 2001, just before 2000, they thought that they're going to grow a lot. And that growth must be internal because they weren't going to get enough managers from the labour pool that was in China at that time. They were looking for more middle managers who could take leadership roles. So they put in an incentive system to try and get these managers to take these roles. And that incentive system required them to measure non-financial performance measures. For example, number of customer complaints. For example, they gave more incentives for sales of new products versus old products. But they had a bonus component which made up to about 20% of their commission. And that was based on the head office's subjective evaluation of the sales managers. Subjective evaluation of their creativity, their proactiveness, their leadership. So here's a company, Chinese company, they ended up listing in Shanghai Stock Exchange back in 2004. Okay, real company, real problem, and non-financial performance measures. So they did put in non-financial performance measures. They did put in an incentive system. This case example, you have full details of this case in your appendix. Everything we talk about tonight, you can take home tonight and study in more detail. Real case, which is the first case example here. Okay, so if you want to learn more about that, what was the incentive system about, and all I can tell you now is it didn't work out perfectly, because as it turned out, some branch offices, maybe the closer ones, maybe, especially the ones near Beijing, Shanghai, you know, much more sales, were visited more often than other branch offices, Urumqi, okay, long way away, okay, all right? And we did some academic study on the data and found that this subjective bonus that was handed out, rated of these sales managers, was very highly correlated with their sales performance for the branch managers that were close or further away. For the ones where they visited the most or the ones that weren't visited very often, which one? This subjective bonus turned out to be highly correlated with sales performance. In other words, you really don't need it. It's not working. It's not independent. Okay? But it was not independent. It was highly correlated for only one group of branch managers. The ones that were further away and weren't visited very much, or the ones that were close and were visited a lot. Which one? There's only one group. Which group do you think this subjective performance measurement was highly correlated to the sales? Hands up for A. The branch managers that were further away? Or the hands up for the branch managers that are close by, we visit very often? Don't worry, 50-50, have a guess. All right, 50-50, you'll be right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Okay? All right, hands up for, it was highly correlated with sales for branch managers that were further away. Hands up. You're right. You're right. Think about it. If I don't visit you very often, I don't know much about your leadership, your creativity, your information sharing, your management potential. Oh, I'll just rate you on your sales performance. Okay? But some of the branch officers that were close by, I get to visit more often, I get to know you a bit more, know the relationship a bit more. I can have a better independent judgment of your performance for this bonus component, for this subjective component. And that's we see that happening. Okay? So here's a company, they put in non-financial performance measure, they attached a bonus to it, but it turned out to be not totally reliable. Okay? As soon as you put in non-financial performance measures, you're going to need some infrastructure, you're going to need some administrative power to collect the data and then report. And the last thing you want to do is attach some incentive to it. Okay? My message to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is you want to do non-financial performance measures, just try one more, okay? Just try one more and use it as a communicative experiment, not as a, right from the start, some attachment to some incentive. Because if it's wrong, you can do more damage than good. But I do encourage you, try a new measure as a communicative experiment. That is, you just measure it and you report it and just see how people respond to it. Okay? Okay, let's have a look at those companies that have reasons for implementing scorecard systems. A lot of people have non-financial measures to track progress towards achievement of organisational goals, or they need to communicate strategy to everyone, align employee behaviour with strategic objectives, linking and aligning the organisation around strategy. A few buzzwords here. This alignment thing. What's this alignment? We're going to have an exercise tonight where you're going to do an alignment process. Why do companies have scorecard systems? They want to drill down to root data, cause and effect strategy map. You're going to do that tonight. Web-based reporting, traffic lighting, trend indicators. So here are the benefits of the scorecards, but you can follow up on that. Here's a takeaway for tonight. If someone asks you, oh, so tomorrow, at work, oh, what'd you do yesterday? Oh, I went to a workshop on non-financial performance measures. Oh, really? Wow, how interesting. Oh, I stayed home and watched TV. But anyway, so I say, oh, so what was it about? And you can say, oh, SMS. I didn't send you an SMS. No. It's about strategy, measurement, systems thinking. That's all it is. Nothing else. SMS. That's what scorecards are all about. It's about linking measures with strategy. It's about systems thinking, and it's about measurement. I tell everyone in my class, every time, that's all you need to know. What is the balanced scorecard? SMS. Very easy. Second, what's the benefit of the scorecard? Goal. That's the benefit. Goal alignment, on-time decision-making, accurate decision-making, and learning. SMS goal, there's your whole package. That's all you need to know. Two definitions. What is the scorecard? SMS. What are the components? What are the key elements? SMS. What are the benefits? Goal. G-O-A-L. Okay, and we'll talk about that as we go. I'm not going to talk about this, but if you were consulting, you would go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stages. in developing a scorecard. Notice, what comes first, the measurement or the strategy? Hands up. It's the strategy. I think many of you know that and you get that. It's so important to get the direction right, otherwise you waste effort if you're going in the wrong direction. Remember what I said. You want to improve process efficiency, but you want to improve the learning and growth effectiveness. When it gets down to talent management issues and learning and growth, that is the bottom part of the scorecard, down here. All right, the intangibles. You're trying to improve the effectiveness. You're trying to become more effective. Here, you focus on efficiency. Processes, it's all about efficiency. Input, output. Input, process, output. Efficiency. Okay, outputs divided by inputs gives you an efficiency ratio. Okay, now you relate that to outcomes. Now you've got an effectiveness ratio. So don't get them mixed up. When you're working with teams of people, you want them to be effective, not necessarily efficient, first of all. Okay? And effectiveness is in part about direction that the team is going. If all the team is aligned, then they can be more effective. And that's a much more positive approach, especially in talent management, to do that. Okay, enough of my talking. Let me go over something that I could spend an hour going through, but I want to move over very, very quickly. Here are different stages of working through the World Competitiveness Manufacturing Model, which I was introduced to back in 1994 in Australia. The Australian government, through its state governments, were supporting through subsidising consulting fees for small business to become much more competitive. And so they had this model that they were using. And that was basically it here. All right? And so I'm going to spend 60 seconds giving you an overview of what it is. Basically, it's about you finding out maybe five things that you think your company is good at. In other words, the following statement: we will win, I will win by having the fastest delivery. We will win by having the most latest product. We will win by having the best service. We'll win by having the best interest rates. Huh? Okay. Or best online experience. Okay. There's something, all of you can think of something like that, right? But what happens when you get all the people in your company together? You get 20 in a room, you come up with 20 different things, right? The idea of this is to get focus and consensus. Let me repeat. The idea of this model is to get focus and consensus. That's all it is. Strategy formulation in your company must be directed around focus and consensus. You cannot avoid consensus if you want to get people to buy in to a new strategy. You can't just dictate, here's our new strategy, and expect people to buy in afterwards. Okay, so how do you use this to get focus and consensus? Well, you may list down 5 things. You can write that down now. 5 things that you think are important to your organisation in the next 12 months that are critical to the success of your organisation. Maybe you write down 2. Could you write down 3 things now, please? 3 things that are critical to your company's success in the next 12 months, 365 days. 3 things. 3 things. If you want a hint, there's a page here that basically, here's a list of things that you may want to think of. Okay, that's in your handouts. It's 5 pages ahead of where you are. Okay, so then in the next 12 months, what is critical to success of your company? Maybe your reputation for quality, customer service, or maybe customer orientation, or maybe technological superiority. Okay, so what is it? What do you think it is for your company in the next 12 months?
Sales.
Sales, yes.
More people viewing our website.
Okay, okay. Views.
Yes.
Okay.
Economy.
The
Economic vision.
well, when we talk about strategy, it's the things that your company needs to do.
Then maybe
You don't want to wait for the economy. The economy will never help you.
the IT process.
Maybe IT process, yes. Okay.
Market expansion.
Market expenditure.
Auto innovation.
Product innovation.
Goodwill.
Goodwill.
Easy.
Okay, all right. Quick.
Good customer relationship.
Customer relationship.
Sorry. Maybe to improve organization effectiveness.
Yes. Huh?
Expand customer base.
Expand customer.
Sales.
Sales. Yeah.
Update accounting knowledge.
Okay.
Inventory turnover.
Okay.
Improve customer satisfaction.
All right. So, look, all of you, when I ask you a question, there's something in your mind. Okay. The point is that you go home tomorrow to your organisation and you bring a team of 5 of you together and say, oh, let's go through our strategy for the next 12 months, and you may come up with 10 different things. What do you do then? The purpose of this framework is to help get some consensus going. That's all. All right? It's not a magic bullet, but what you do is you ask people in your team, okay, you come up with 3 or 4 items. I want you to rank each of them in terms of which item do you think gives us the best chance of beating our competitors from 1 to 10. And so one item might be 10, one might be 8, another one might be 7 or 6. You might have 2 5s. Then you rank them on another dimension. Which one of these items is likely to give us a chance of providing most value to the customer? And that's what this issue is here. All right? Competitors and the customer. Ability to add value to the customer. And so when you rank according to those two, you may find that one item goes up to here. One might be 10 and 10. One might be 10 but 5. Okay? So IT process, that may be up here, but your on-time delivery, okay, it beats you can beat your competitors, but the customer don't care about that as much as IT process. So then that will be ranked a little bit lower. And so what you find ends up here may come out of that consensus process. And you're getting alignment among the team of people in your organisation. And then you work with that and you say, okay, we will win by having the best IT process in our organisation. That will help us win and define our strategy for the next 12 months. And then people say, yeah, but I reckon this one would be better. Oh, I reckon this one would be better. They can have that too. We can move that, do that in 6 months' time or 12 months' time. Okay, these are ongoing processes. If the economy is going very, very fast, especially across the border, then you might have to do this every 3 months or every 6 months. Okay? Because competitors change and customers change. Customer preferences change. So you need to revise this all the time. But this is just a basic 2x2 approach to help you get consensus on strategy. Let's keep moving. Because when you get consensus and there's one item here that comes up, we will win by having the best IT process. We will win by having the best online service. We will win by having just more sales than any of our competitors. All right, just more sales exposure. Okay, we will win by having the most up-to-date accounting knowledge. Okay, then you can use that to guide any strategic focus in marketing, operations, HR, finance, IT, any other divisions that are in your organisation. You use that. And so then you can say, marketing will have lots of opportunities for improvement. Marketing will have a lot of initiatives. Channel sales, do we market online, do we market newspaper, where do we market, how do we sell? What about talent recruitment? There's so many issues in marketing. And then you're going to rank those issues. What's the ability of those issues to support your big, we will win by doing this in the next 12 months. And then you have opportunity for improvement. Same for operations, same for HRM. So this is like an alignment approach. So I'm really moving through this very, very fast. I could spend 3 hours on this for an exercise. Okay, so we can move through to measurement a bit more. Okay, but this alignment process is very, very important. And I haven't even mentioned measures. This is about getting consensus. Consensus overall, and then moving to various operations in the organisation. And then from that, you'll have action plans. So the idea is use this to get an overall consensus of where the direction of the company is going. Then that becomes one dimension for marketing, operations, HR, and all the operations. Remember, the dimension here, ability to support this SCA here, one dimension. The other dimension is opportunity for improvement. Opportunity for improvement. So there's those two dimensions at the operational level. So that's what we're doing, developing consensus. We're not developing non-financial performance measures. You must get consensus first, because alignment, direction, is the key to effectiveness at the bottom level. Remember, you want to improve efficiency, you're at the process level. Okay, now you may want to think about a strategy map which helps you to look at causal relationships between the units. It doesn't stop you from having action plans. Okay, and ultimately a balanced scorecard, which even makes it even more formal. Okay, so there's a lot going on there, and I'm happy to go into more depth if you have questions on that. But I just want to give you a bird's eye view of the big picture. The big picture. Okay, there's the World Competitiveness Manufacturing Model. Here's a list of strategic imperatives, and here's how you might want to graph it to come up with top 5 issues. Then you graph it, and then you move on to your operations, and each of those operations can do that. Marketing, HR, operations, financial, so forth. Okay? All right, so remember, okay, now here's your chance. We have an exam now. Okay, are you ready? Junbei hala. Simple question. All right, so you go to work back tomorrow morning. Let's ask that question again. Your colleague said, oh, so what did you do last night? Oh, I went to creating alignment with non-financial performance measures. Oh, really? Oh, so what was that? Oh, you know, balanced scorecard. Oh, so what was the balanced scorecard? I've heard of that before, but what is it? And all you have to say is, what's the answer to that question? What's the answer to that question? SMS, exactly. That's the answer. If they want to know more, they'll ask you and they'll say, oh, okay. All right, that's enough. All right. If they want to know more, well, S stands for strategy. Okay. And I gave you in 5 minutes what could take half a day to do, okay, on strategy. Okay, just getting alignment on strategy. Okay? Okay, so 2 more things we've got to do tonight. What are they? Cover what? If we just covered strategy, what are the 2 other things we have to cover? SMS, so if we've covered one of the S's, strategy, measurement, and systems thinking, yes. And that's the systems thinking is a big thing that's missing from a lot of workshops on non-financial performance measures. A lot of workshops, oh, let's go straight to measurement. Let's go straight to measurement. Oh, or tomorrow your boss says you, or you know, or your accountant or your consultant says, oh, you need to put in more measures. Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll go to the internet and get a list of measures to choose from. That's the last thing you should do. Okay? The first thing you should do is, what is the strategy? What is the direction I want to go in? Because whatever measure that you have aligned with that strategy, you may go in that direction twice as fast or 3 times as fast. So you want to make sure you're going in the right direction first. Okay, so let's SMS. We've done the S. We've got another S to do, and we've got M to do. Right. So systems thinking. Guess why we have a shower? I know why we have a shower. What a stupid question. Okay, when I was growing up in Australia, we did have hot water when we were kids. All right, very fortunate. But the shower faucet, there was a hot tap and a cold tap. And so you turn the hot tap on and let it run for 5 minutes until the hot water service kicked in and then the hot water started flowing through, right? But you don't get in the shower yet. Okay, then turn on the cold once it started hot, and then you've got to turn it on, too hot, too cold, and then turn it back. Okay, so with systems thinking, you've got an action. Number 2, you have a detection, too hot, too cold. Okay, then you take action again, too hot, too cold, action. You with me? That's a system. Don't make it any more complicated than that. Okay? All right? Systems thinking, this is not a high-end, you don't need a high-end degree in IT in information systems to understand basic systems thinking. Systems thinking is all about understanding causes and effects. You turn the hot or cold differently, you get a different temperature. The cause is your action, the effect is the temperature. You with me? You hire the wrong person, that's a cause. The effect is poor sales, angry customer, bad morale. Okay? You with me? That's what we mean by systems thinking. Cause and effect. Okay? Cause and effect. Right? Try and keep things simple. Actionable. That's me in the shower. We're lucky these days because now we can dial up a temperature. And you know, we trust that the temperature is correct. Okay, so here's your chance to think of a strategy map. How many of you know what a strategy map is? Hands up. Hands up. Anyone? How many of you have seen a strategy map before? Okay, here's a sure way to get participation in this workshop. What you have here is a strategy map of your favourite restaurant in Hong Kong. And your favourite restaurant would be? Of course, Maxim's, right? Cafe de Coral, right? Fairwood, right? Yes, hands up, correct? Close, right? All right. So we could have a strategy map of that. But this one here is, if we have well-trained and motivated drivers, on-time deliveries, exceed our delivery expectations, we have profitable customer retention, profitable growth. This could be the delivery company delivering to Maxim's, or to Cafe de Coral, or to Fairwood. You see that? Okay, a strategy map could be any part of the value chain. It doesn't have to be right through from one end to the other end. Okay? Any economic unit can have a strategy map. It's just a causal diagram of what happens first, what happens second, what happens third. Okay? All right? So, let's have a look at the processes in Maxim's, Fairwood, and Cafe de Coral. Yes. Okay, so what I want you to do, this is your first exercise. I want you to tell me, how many processes do we have here? How many processes / states of action do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? What I want you to do is, which one comes first? Put a number 1 next to it. Which one comes second? Put a number 2 next to it. Which one comes third? Put a number 3. Okay? Without turning over, I want you to have a guess. Which comes first? What are the first 3 processes? Which would come first? The employee stuff or customer stuff? Huh?
In reality, or just...
Yeah, what's your reality? Yeah, how would you characterize it? Customer or employee? You don't have any customers, you don't have employees, so employees must come first. Okay? You can go into any of these restaurants and holler as much as you like. If there's no employees there, you're going to get nothing. Okay? All right, so what comes first? Selection and staffing, employee added value, or employee satisfaction? This table, please. Selection and staffing. If we have good selection and staffing, then it's likely we can have what? Satisfied employees. And if we have satisfied employees, it's likely that the employees might have provide added value. For example, would you like fries with that? Would you like a lighter with that? Okay. And if we have employee added value, maybe we're going to get satisfied customers. And then that might affect their buying behaviour and sustain profitability. Or it might be the other way around. That's what we mean by a strategy map. That's what we mean by systems thinking. It's trying to tell a story of what happens. Let me be very, very clear about tonight, because I don't want to jump around. The theme of tonight is about alignment of non-financial performance measures, right? If you don't have a story, you've got nothing to align. Let me repeat. If you don't have a story, you have nothing to align any financial or non-financial performance measures to. You've got to have a story. Look, the story doesn't have to be totally correct, but you've got to have some thinking about A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you've got to have a story. Non-financial performance measures do not come first. The story comes first. So let me ask you, what's the story in your organisation? What is the story in your organisation? What is the story of value adding in your organisation? Does it look like this? Does it look like this? If we have good selection and staffing, then we have more satisfaction. And then the employees are likely to provide added value. All right? And then customers are going to be satisfied. Customer buying power, sustained profitability, shareholder value. Okay, very simple story. Okay, so here's your chance, and I've got a storyboard for you now, and this will take us up to our break. Remember, this is the S or M in SMS. This is, which one is this? This is the second S, right? Right. Let's be clear. All right, because once we do the SMS, we're done. Okay, you can go home. All right? So we quickly did the first S, so we can spend a little bit more time on the second S and measurement. Okay? So let's take one of these. Nice. I made them nice and big. I want you to think, you have multiple stories here. Take one. I made it nice and big so you can... Is that... I could have made it larger. Is that... Does anyone want one that's double the size? Would anyone like an A1 size? No, okay. What I want you to do is to come up with a story. Here we go. I want you to think about, here is a coffee shop. Here is a coffee shop. There are multiple stories here. Many different types of stories. I want you to tell me the story that helps you to go into a story that helps increase customer loyalty. And that story basically is you're collecting a dot from this level, you're drawing an arrow from 1, 2 of these in this level to some of these in this level, and then up to here, up to increase customer loyalty. Okay, can you do that now? You can work in groups of 2. Work in groups of 2 if you like, please. Then you can have collaboration, all right? Or work in groups of 3. Discuss, enjoy, network, okay? You can work together, okay? So if you want that, are you going to start here, here, or here? And will that lead to here, to here, to here, to here? What's the story to get to increase customer loyalty? Are you with me on that? Are we clear on what we're doing here? You can work as a group, okay? Please, or in 2 and 2, however you feel comfortable with, okay? All right, so you know what you have to do? If we want, this is a coffee shop, so you can think of Starbucks if you want to, okay? Think of a Starbucks, all right? You want to increase customer loyalty, so are you going to, which one of these are you going to emphasise? And that's going to lead to one of these processes, then to here, then to there. Okay, so which of these circles are going to be dominant in this story to improve customer loyalty? Okay, all right, do you know what you have to do? Huh? Okay, and while you're doing that, I will grab your card so I can learn more about what questions you're looking to have. Just one card, thank you so much. Thank you, excellent.
What's the barrister qualification?
Oh, a barista qualification is a certification of a coffee maker, professional. You can make coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how to make different coffee. You know different coffees, espresso and latte and all the different coffees, and you know how to make them perfect.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
I seldom drink coffee.
Me too. Me too, but I will take this.
Okay, thank you.
I will borrow your card with your question in it. Excellent, thank you. Have you got any ideas on it? Did you write down a question on your card?
I'm going to.
Okay, that's fine. So can I borrow your card with your question so we can answer? If you've got a question you'd like me to make sure I cover, put me on the spot. And we've got cards with your question on it. Do you have a card with a question that you might have, you want to have answered? If you do, okay, let's have a look. Okay, so what have you got? Okay, so what I want you to do now, whether it's right or wrong, remember, non-financial performance measures need a story. Need a story. Yeah, accounting doesn't need a story, but non-financial performance measures need a story. Okay, accounting is accounting. It exists because, well, it exists, right? We're accountants, so, you know, if the company is listed, it exists because regulations say you have to financially report. But the regulations do not say you have to have non-financial performance measures. So you've got to have a reason for having non-financial performance measures. And that reason is you've got a story. You have a story about how you make money. That's the reason for non-financial performance measures. That's the thing that's missing from a lot of initiatives. So what's your story? What's the story over here for? Would you like to tell our story? Yeah.
For our people, we will develop a customer-focused culture.
Yes.
And then we think that the customer would love a more expensive coffee. Then we change from Nescafe Instant to Italian brand.
Yes.
And in order to do that, we have to buy a high-tech Italian coffee machine.
Buy a high-tech coffee machine, and then?
And also we will also modernize the look of the coffee shop.
Modernize the look of the coffee shop. Yeah. Wow, you're doing a lot here. And then?
And finally we can achieve greater customer loyalty. What
about standardized coffee making process?
We don't consider.
Don't consider? If it's not standardized, then maybe the customers don't come back. Okay, or maybe, yes. Okay, that's fine. What's your story over here? What's your story for increased customer loyalty? So where would you start? What would you?
Develop a customer-focused culture.
Develop a customer-focused culture, and then?
Standardized coffee making.
Okay, straight up to here, standardise. But how do you do that? Don't you need training too? Maybe you don't need barista if you don't want to focus on a full end product. Depends. Is it the full end, or is it the consistent quality of service that customers like? So you need to find out who your customers are too, right? Okay. All right. So what story have we got over here?
We have a similar story like that.
Okay. So what about another story? What about a story to reduce operating costs as a percentage of sales? Where would you start? Where would you start? To reduce operating costs as a percentage of sales. Would you do an online initiative? Maybe. Well, if you can't do that, then you may have to train staff to order online, right? And so then maybe you need to have less inventory, so you